Saving the best for last? Well, no. Frogger certainly isn't the best Sega Genesis game, but this final release for the Genesis is probably the best home port of the Konami classic that I've played on any home console of that era. It's very faithful to the arcade original down to the finest detail. The music, sound effects, and gameplay are all accurate and well done, and it's still as enjoyable a game to play today as it was when it was released in arcades in 1981. I really enjoy this game, and although I still prefer the imperfect and technically inferior Atari 2600 port, this Genesis version has to rank right next to it in my book. Just stay away from the Super Nintendo version. Completely different game and not worthy of the Frogger name. Another fantastic arcade port that I've been playing lately is Outrun, one of Sega's most popular arcade racing games from the 80s. Like Frogger, this port of Outrun, while not perfect, is very close to the arcade original and a heck of a lot of fun to play. Outrun was one of the main reasons I really started to enjoy playing racing video games back in the 80s. It's a very exciting and fun game to play to this day. The graphics are bright and colorful, and the sound and music are also well done. An excellent arcade racer gets an excellent representation on the Genesis. I've mentioned before that I'm a sucker for classic arcade compilations, and this Super Nintendo card of 6 classic Atari arcade hits, called Atari Collection No. 1, fits the bill very nicely. It contains Asteroids, Battle Zone, Centipede, Missile Command, Super Breakout, and Tempest, and they're all very faithful to their arcade counterparts. Like most of these compilations, there are various options that allow you to tweak the game to suit your preferences, such as a number of lives, bonuses, and control styles. Speaking of control, 5 of the 6 games utilize the SNES gamepad very well, except for one, Super Breakout, a game in desperate need of an analog-style paddle controller. Other than that, Atari Collection 1 is a very fun collection of old-school arcade goodness. Combine this with the Williams Arcade's Greatest Hits cart, and you have a great collection of some of the best arcade games of all time on Super Nintendo. Blazing Lasers on the TurboGrafx-16 is my favorite game for that system, and it's the first game I ever beat, so it has a special place in my heart. Thanks to Star Soldier 1, I discovered this unofficial sequel for the Super Nintendo called Space Megaforce. If you were to play Blazing Lasers and Space Megaforce side by side, you'd see and hear a lot of similarities in the weapons, power-ups, sound effects, and gameplay. Not surprising since both games were developed by the same Japanese development company, Compile. There's a lot going on the screen at once in Space Megaforce, which is a bit of a technical marvel considering many of the games of the space shoot-'em-up genre on the Super Nintendo suffer from the dreaded slowdown syndrome. Not here. The game remains at a steady and frantic pace throughout. This game is an absolute blast to play, and it's easily one of my favorite shmups of all time. A bold statement, I'm sure, considering the company it keeps. But if you haven't tried it, give it a chance, and I'm sure you'll love it as well. A bit of an unheard and neglected title on the Super Nintendo. I'm glad I discovered it, and I'm sure you would too. This is Atarileaf, and thanks for watching what I've been playing lately.